Hi, am I still loud?
No.
Okay.
You're terrible at checking your text messages, Kelly.
I did see him. I've been on the phone since I got in the building, I swear. Just the way
Do we
things
have
worked.
a do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Heather,
Yeah, I just got here. I'm the one who said hi.
Heather,
Yes.
you're supposed to stop up and pick up your reservation for the,
Oh, okay, good.
well, you can.
Sounds good.
Oh, now we're on air according to our new light. So, no, it's right.
What, like?
Oh, that, okay.
Oh.
So I think that means we can call the January month of the Personnel Bargaining Committee to order. I certify that open meeting law requirements have been met with proper posting. We have a 14-item agenda. I would like to move item 8, closed session, to we'll do it after item 12. Any other? No, John left.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, item number 4, approval of minutes from the last two meetings, from the December 15th meeting and the special meeting on the 4th of January.
Take motion to approve both.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any further discussion? Corrections, additions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we'll move on to item 5, discussion action on highway department pay structure. And this is a new subject for the committee.
Is someone from the highway department in the meeting?
Yep, Al, Mary, and Kevin are
Okay,
here.
I'm sorry, I just can't. I can only see you, so.
I don't run the cameras, so I can't help you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I just couldn't see who else was in there. Now I can see everybody.
So, Al, do you want to
Yep.
go through this to
Yep.
introduce everyone?
Okay, so just, this could be the start of a long process. It's something we've been kind of talking about at Highway since I've been here for 5 years, and we just feel it's maybe time to move this thing, kind of get this out in the open and see if anything can be done with just the overall pay structure of the highway department. So back in 2010, Act 10 came out, disbanding the unions. It changed the pay structure for the counties that were under union. And all I've heard since I've been here is that the old way was better. And the pay structure that was enacted here in 2011 just caused lots of complication, I think everywhere, but especially for highway. And there's been lots of grumbling and complaining since, and we've been trying to make this, it was 20 steps up until we did the wage study 2 years ago. We went down to 16 steps with multiple pay grades. So what we want to try and do is simplify the process, at least at highway department, mainly for administrative purposes. For the girls in the office trying to do timesheets and payroll. It's very, very complex, adds lots of extra time. And then also just for morale purposes of all the workers in general at the highway department. So in this packet that I've handed to you here, on the first page, this is just, Mary was able to dig up an old one. This is from 2008. This is what one of the union contracts looked like. And here you'll see it's one step versus 16 steps. It's 1 under 4 pay grades. So right now we've got about Well, what it would really impact is the third page into this packet. I highlighted in orange the positions at the highway department that fall under this complicated thing. So it is only under 3 pay grades for highway. The orange ones there, I highlight them. It's pay grade 5, 6, and 7. These are the positions that are bouncing back and forth between grades most of the time. And then along that, you've got your 16 steps where guys are kind of all over based on their years of service. And then to add to that, the next page behind that is we got this premium pay chart of those people moving around. Then there's guys that fall into different categories of this. We got $1.50 for painting. We got 50 cents if you're running these pieces of equipment. We've got $5 an hour if you're running these other pieces of equipment. And then the last page is just another thing out of our highway handbook where we have out of class pay. If you just work out of class and it don't fall into one of these things on the chart on the page before. So it's a lot of stuff, and it makes it very difficult for payroll. And the reason all these things have been added over the years at highway department, $5 an hour premium pay, $1.50, 50 cents, is because it really comes down to, you know, when guys are saying, hey, I'm only making this, but when I go and run that, I'm not making as much as that guy. So then that stemmed into these things of these pay charts of premium pay, $5 and $1.50 and 50 cents. Where the argument I've been hearing is if everybody just made the same pay, we would not have all these extra premium pay things. You wouldn't be rewarding people for years of service, you're just rewarding people for what they're doing. So people were happy when the guy that was working there on day one was making the same money as the guy that's been there for 25 years. That was fine. That didn't cause any arguments. This current,
I would have thought it would.
I know. And it took me years to believe that, but yeah, it is, and it's still the same way. The guy, like, I don't care if that guy just started yesterday, and I've been doing this same beat for the last 20 years, he should be making the same as me. That is the mindset of the guys in this industry at the highway department, okay? So I'm just trying to bring this argument forward, you know, on behalf of the highway department and our office staff that have to deal with this and timesheets. And I mean, they probably spend an extra hour at the computers at minimum in the mornings just sorting this stuff out.
Missing this page.
Yep, so then the very last page, no, that's in
No,
here.
second.
Yeah, it's the second page in of this packet I gave you. So this is a little bit into Mary's world, who is our payroll clerk out there. So that highlighted yellow column that says hourly rate, that's kind of, wouldn't you say, Mary, that's how the courthouse is set up. Everybody's got one pay and that's just it. That's all they get. That chart, that column to the right where it's all them pen crossed off numbers, that's what Mary has to try and decipher every payroll. These are all the different things that an employee could possibly fall into.
Like, are those all the different,
Different.
premium pays and things
Yeah,
like that?
all that stuff. Yep. So on that next page, I just, for example, I highlighted, so you see the orange is highway. I just picked one here that, so human services is in green. So I don't think you guys have, you know, because people say, well, we gotta treat the courthouse the same way, we gotta treat highway like the courthouse. The difference that I want to point out, which I think is the case, is I don't think in human services, that's just the department I picked, for example, you have, say, in the grade 6, let's look at grade 6, that first green one, economic support specialist. I don't think you have that person jumping up and doing, you know, the nutrition transportation coordinator for a day or a week or a half a day, where you got all this bouncing around. You don't have the program aide in human services jumping up and doing the economic support specialist duties. I think where they're at in these other departments, they just stay there. They're not bouncing around. They are just there. Their pay is the same throughout the year. It's easy. At highway, we could have a section guy from Osseo going to help the construction crew for a day or a week. Vice versa. We could have, our shop personnel going out and, you know, we got a bad snowstorm, they gotta hop into a dump truck, they gotta hop into a plow truck, and we got all this bouncing around. And then to add to that, this guy's at a step 13 because he's been here longer than the guy who's at a step 4 because he just started, but they're doing the same thing and these guys get argued, you know, it just creates that animosity. So it's complex. I'm talking, I'm rambling, I hear that. I'm trying to get this out as quickly as I can so we can get into discussion. But it's complex. It just doesn't fit the mold of a highway department in a blue-collar field where we're running equipment. These aren't desk jobs, you know, where we have people sitting behind a desk doing the same thing 52 weeks out of the year. We are jumping around, and then we got all these other things in there that this is a more specialized piece of equipment. This one's an easy piece of equipment. The old way kind of addresses that in these 4 grades, and we could even simplify it down to 3, I think we're talking. And pay increases would maybe just across the board, everybody gets, I don't know, a cost of living or however they used to do it back in those days. That could be hashed out later, but I just want to start this talk. I know we're not going to get anything accomplished today or probably this entire year, but we need to start talking about maybe breaking off highway, like the sheriff is broken off into their own, healthcare center is broken off onto their own, tackle highway, and then maybe work on courthouse after that, because we're talking desk jobs here, we're talking operator, blue-collar positions at highway. So I guess with that, there's some questions and discussion we probably want to get into. I don't know if Mary, if you want to maybe add something or wait until we get further into discussion.
One more point I wanted to bring up is we have a ton of people at the end of their pay, as of end of this year, there's no more raises for them other than cost of living raises. Where other people will still be in a different grade will be, and pretty soon they're passing, you know, they're getting $1 an hour raise and they get the, you know, whatever. So that's a point that should be brought up.
It is, and I intentionally didn't bring it up in this discussion because then the argument would be like, well, courthouse people have the same issue. I want to just talk about things how the highway department is going to have different issues in the courthouse. Courthouse is still going to have people topping out at step 16, just like, so I don't want to make that the basis of our argument at highway. We gotta, you know, point out why is highway getting treated, potentially why does highway want to be treated differently from the courthouse? And if we say people are going to top out, well, so is everybody here at the courthouse. So it's really the complexity and the bookkeeping problems and you know, the animosity or anger it causes amongst the workers at highway when this guy's making this, but doing the same thing as this guy. Yeah, it's just
I just-
never ending. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry,
Jen.
I just want to clarify a little bit. I understand the complications with highway department, but not everybody at the courthouse has a desk job. There are people out and about all the time. And I know you used human services as an example, but there are times when there is a vacancy and people have to cover, you know, the work that needs to get done during vacancies. So there are people doing other people's jobs all the time. But I just wanted to clarify that not everybody's sitting at a desk in the courthouse. There are people in the health department out, human services out, maintenance, they're never at a desk. There are a lot of people not sitting at desks.
The other point though, if you looked at that second page there, like, just for example, number 44 there, you can see there's 5 different pay things, and this could be on a weekly basis. She's gotta make out, oh, this day was so many hours on this one, you get so many hours of that.
That could be on a daily basis.
On a daily
You might
basis,
do
yeah.
multiples of those in the same day.
Yeah, so it gets to be a real pain in the butt for, especially for payroll, trying to figure, oh, gets an extra $1 for those 2 hours and whatever. 50 cents for
Yeah, I
that.
agree.
It's a
I
pain
agree.
in the
It's
butt.
really, I'm sorry.
Bookkeeping nightmare.
Sorry, it's so hard to be not there. I agree. It's really crazy. Like I remember when you were paying people 25 cents an hour extra or whatever it was to work on the interstate, you know, and that changed depending on who went there. I do agree, we do need to look at this and how we can maybe streamline it a little better.
I think Heather's got a question, so.
My only question was wondering if you've looked at other counties, just curious to see if there's some other model so we don't have to try and reinvent the wheel. I mean, all of this does make sense, and I would hate to be the bookkeeper. But just wondering if you've looked at that.
Yep, they're all on a similar pay structure, how we are currently under with this. Some are still at the 20 like we were as of about a year and a half ago. Some highway departments or counties, are at the 16 like we're at. Some are at, I think the lowest I've seen is 10.
So they haven't looked at kind of trying
Not
to
going
get back.
because I think when Act 10 came out in 2010, it was just, they just threw, all the counties had to redo their thing
Sure.
statewide, all 72 counties. And I don't know, I'm just speculating, but they must just throw highway in with the courthouse on this big step
As
thing.
a county entity.
Yeah, it's a county entity. And somehow the law enforcement departments, healthcare center here in Trempealeau County anyway, kind of remained off on their own thing.
Yeah. I guess another question. Are your people that would be in like your range 3 and range 2? I mean, it's looking at this list, it looks like some of these jobs require very little training versus like, your
Yeah.
hot mix plant operators. So would you still somehow be keeping those that don't have as many qualifications at a lower pay rate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how it kind of addresses it.
Yeah.
just, we'll have to, this is already 14, 15 years old. Names have, titles have changed, so we'd have to update certain titles. We would keep some things in place, like that one page where I show the $5 an hour premiums. Those pieces of equipment, that's kind of how we would make this new chart, have those in a certain grade versus the less skilled, less.
Are the guys that are out plowing right now, are they all on the same pay scale?
The guys that are out plowing are on the same scale, but a lot are making a different wage because of their time
Length of
here,
service.
years of length of service.
Would that change with this?
Yeah,
That's what he's,
yeah.
He's saying they'd get paid for the job they're doing versus years of service.
Right, so that with the new one you're setting up, the ones that would be out plowing would be making the same.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Because I think, at least to me, that does seem like a fairer way to go. Why, if you're gonna have two guys out plowing, that one makes more than the other, and like you said, on years service, but apparently you're saying that does not make any difference to the workers.
Does not, no.
Does that seem fair?
Well, Kevin's been here for a long time, and
Yeah.
he was under the old pay scale.
He was on the other side, now he's in the management level, but he heard it firsthand, in the shop every morning at coffee and listening to it, and then,
Yeah, I guess
yeah.
that's my question. If the ones who are on the upper are still thinking it's not right, then it appears as though that may be the case.
It's surprising that we've had a lot of people retire since I've started here. They were the big proponents of it.
That is surprising.
They said, Kevin's doing the same job, he just started here, he's doing the same job as we are. They thought I should make what they did.
Well, that's exactly the way I feel. That's why I said I hope that what you're talking about would correct that in the future then.
Absolutely, and there would be no decisiveness of
Right.
knowing what you get.
Right.
HR, you're aware, you put out a job to the public, okay, we hire you, everything's a big argument, a big discussion of who's gonna make what, and where
Yes.
do you start this person, where do you start this person? We need a plow driver, here's the job, here's what you get paid. You wanna start or not? Everything's simplified.
You don't have to call special personnel bargaining meetings if we try to get somebody to start over a step 6 because they feel they're more qualified than our offer, and then now we drag it on another month waiting for that next meeting to come, and, that simplifies things in that, the hiring process as well and recruitment.
Maybe this is something we should bring up at the highway meeting at the end of the month here.
Well, we just talked about it yesterday.
At
no,
WCHA.
the
Oh.
county.
I mean, for WCHA. Statewide, all the highway departments
Yep.
doing the same thing.
And I know Ricky said you would pull in talk to some other counties and maybe get And I can do the same, I can just quickly email some fellow commissioners and,
Yeah, but although it sounds like everybody's doing the same thing, I'm not
They-
sure what benefit that's gonna give.
I know, it's the same, it's just some instead of 16 steps, there are 20, there's 12, 10,
Sure.
yeah, but otherwise
Well,
it's,
I mean, maybe if they all get on the same page and, I don't, get something county or statewide, then
It's
it
a
would-
little,
It,
sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, it might be easier if you have other people on board to kind of make the case for it too, but.
Yeah, I can understand the reasons. I get it without a doubt for all involved, really. I struggle with why or how we would be able to do it and nobody else is doing it. I understand there's always got to be somebody that's first, but is there legality reasons that we can't? I don't know. That's more of a HR/corp counsel question.
I'm not aware of any legal reasons why you can't set it as you do. The other thing I would just want to clarify, when it comes to the sheriff's office, when the Act 10 went into place, deputies were allowed to stay under the unions. Non-deputies are not covered by that, so they fall under our pay grade as our system as well. Just want to clarify that. But the legislator, for whatever reason, carved out the exception for the deputies. But having said that, I don't think that the current use of the pay grade system across the state is anything that was dictated by law. I think people kind of saw that this is what people were doing, and so they all kind of adopted something similar. I imagine it
I
probably
think
had something
all
to
of
do
law
with budget too.
enforcement and fire departments were kept in the unions.
They're exempt from
So it's
having
not just the
land.
sheriff's department, it's local police departments and whatever.
yeah, so I guess I'm trying to advocate for doing something without, I don't want to not do it because of, well, they're not doing it, why should we do it? Kind of, I want to try and maybe be a pioneer in something here. There's 72 counties, let's, Trempealeau County maybe pioneer something, and all of a sudden, hey, Trempealeau did this and it seems to be working, and then they follow us, right? Like, as you said, maybe it's talk to other counties, we do that, it could take, years and years to
Right.
get other people on board, but.
I think it would be great if we set aside a meeting, maybe with some people on the highway committee to just talk about this and look at how we could restructure this whole thing that would make sense for the highway department. And make it easier for Mary so she doesn't have to do, I can't even imagine doing payroll.
I guess I didn't realize there was a special WCHA. That's where I was just saying, like, if there's a way to, I don't know if you would call it lobbying or whatever, but just get everybody on the same board, then it would, not that we have to wait for, other counties to do it, but just, it would be an easier conversation to start. This makes sense. I am a little concerned about what the pushback is gonna be, if, it's never easy to make decisions as far as other departments then coming.
Yeah, I'll recognize our HR staff.
I guess I have a lot of questions floating through my head at this time, but, Al, are you thinking that you would have separate job descriptions for all of these different positions like we had previously?
No, I would have no, a lot of them would get combined,
So like what we have right now, they'd stay the same. So you'd have an
Yeah,
equipment operator.
what I would end up doing is kind of combining, like the highway maintenance workers, that's the big one, is we got, the ones I highlighted in orange here. The grade 7, those three right there, and the grade 6, the highway maintenance worker. Where's the truck driver? Did I miss that?
Is there a truck driver somewhere?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they fall under highway maintenance worker.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so the bulk of out of our 50 men out there, the majority of them are between them two positions, the highway maintenance worker and the equipment operators. It would basically be combining those two into one. That's over 50% of our department. So it'd really just, and then all the other ones I just leave alone. And then we would just structure this chart. It'd be operator and them other ones, wouldn't be very many. The one we would, like, say that range one where it starts breaking out specific pieces of equipment, I would have those pieces that are on that $5 an hour pay chart, those would be in here.
I think, given that, and I know we worked really hard to get away from what we had before with breaking out, we had 15 different positions out at Highway, and I know that was an administrative nightmare for Mary as well. So I think we've come a long way
Yep.
from what we had. But given that we just spent oodles of money on this current compensation study and all these positions were evaluated, I think there would be a way that we could possibly work with Carlson Detman to, work with what we have, even if it is to maybe combine, our grade 6 and our grade 7 into just one position out at Highway. I think that's what a lot of other counties have. They either have one or two positions very similar to what we have, but maybe we look at, how do we start our new hires out there? Do we start everybody, regardless of your years of experience, you're starting at a step 6 and then go from there? I just think reinventing the wheel at this point would be rather difficult with what we have, and I think my suggestion would be to work with Carlson Detman and kind of see what you could come up with.
I mean, I guess my only concern with, like, we'll just take plow drivers. It's very obvious to us, like on our lane, that's a township, who's plowing it. If they've had more experience or not. So that's where I can see possibly paying somebody who's had 10 years of plow experience versus the guy who's just starting and, doesn't do a very good job. So, I'm not out there.
No. I can tell you that some of our worst plow drivers are
Are the guys who've been
oldest
there
plow drivers.
because they get lazy, maybe.
We're just being
like-
recorded.
Like
I didn't name names.
I get getting paid for the same job, but then is there some way to compensate a good job versus a mediocre job?
Well,
where.
One thing we could do is a probationary period.
Okay.
Give him a 6-month or 12-month, and after you did it for a winter, so if we got a new plow driver and he does poorly and we're getting complaints from residents driving your road, it's not, okay, you can address it with a probation. You could do
Okay.
something like that.
Because and maybe this doesn't happen at Highway, but working other places, you've got employees that bust their butt and do a really good job, and then others who are calling in all the time, or they're not there, and then that person's having to pick up the slack, and it just,
And actually, we have that, and what we've found, it's the guy that's making less is busting his butt more than that guy making more, and it's
Sure.
even worse. So
Okay.
at least if they're at the same pay, one's busting his butt over the guy that's,
Yeah.
it softens that.
They self-regulate each other when
they
they're
do.
out working.
Oh, I'm sure. Guys have a way of doing that. That's just a couple pieces of my concerns of, I feel if you're not doing a very good job, you shouldn't get paid the same as somebody who's doing a good job, but.
It's a hard place to regulate that too,
Very.
because everybody's all out in
Yeah,
different locations.
it's
and
every place I've worked, there's always the people that, where's that person? They're probably hiding and this other person's
No
doing the
doubt,
job.
we've all worked with those people
Yes,
at different
yeah.
times,
The
so.
thing is, because we only have 2 crews that are, with a foreman throughout the day. Otherwise, the other, we've got over 20 guys that are on their own. Nobody's watching them, they're out on their
Sure.
beat,
Doing what they're supposed to
doing
do.
what they're supposed to be doing,
Yeah, Yep.
so.
Well, I think the public probably helps regulate
Yep.
that too.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
And we've put other measures in place to help with that too.
I'm not concerned about
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
We got the GPS there, where everybody is at
Yeah,
all times.
yeah.
That really makes a difference.
yeah,
If you're sleeping at a wayside, you'd know it.
sure, yeah.
So,
I doubt many of our highway guys are sleeping at a wayside. Just saying. My county roads are always meticulously cared for.
that's good. So, what are the wishes, committee? Obviously, this is going to require more work
Yeah,
and discussion.
what we could do from highway, is I could take this thing here that I want to go back to, we want to go back to, and modify it so it is actually what we want to do. Let's change the names, let's come up with our 3 or 4
That'd be a good step.
and show, and then, show HR like, well, this is all we're gonna be combining for job descriptions, and just show, the differences.
I can kind of see where, I think working with HR and trying to figure out, there may be more steps out there, or grades out there that are necessary, and reducing that would help just a tiny bit at least. I think seeing an idea of what you have in mind might be helpful too, as to whether it works or not too.
And I think that the biggest thing that we're trying to achieve, which is really added, it's added this $5 and dollar, is it's the years of servicing, getting people spread out in that grade. So even if we went to only steps. So even if we went to 4 steps, there's still gonna be that bit of animosity, even if it might be 20 cents between 2 guys. It just ticks them off. So this guy's making 20 cents more. You know, that's where if we went away with this years of service, had 1 step and 3 or 4 grades, that's what has led to all this stuff we got at highway and guys bouncing around from here to there. And it's the years of service, it's the steps. It's really not the grades, it's the steps.
You know, and I feel like I work in similar industry. Not the same. I'm not directly in construction, but I got agriculture and manage people and people with different skill levels at different places. And I have a hard time wrapping my head around not rewarding experience. Now I understand I've seen new operators out-operate someone that's 25
They
years
get comfortable.
experience. For whatever
Or
reason,
whatever,
you know.
yeah.
I'm not saying that older's always better or worse, but it's a very individual thing, and yet I still have a hard time not rewarding years of service and keeping people around. So I'm not saying it's a no by any means for me, but I do have concerns with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't we previously talk at a meeting about longevity pay and how we might look at that again? And I also wanted to say I kind of agree with Krista on engaging Carlson Detmer again, because they work with a lot of counties, and I'm sure they have had similar conversations with highway commissioners in the various counties they've worked with. And we have engaged them in doing this process. So I think involving them in the conversation, and they maybe can bring some information to us regarding how other counties have dealt with highway departments and highway commissioners.
Yeah, I like that idea of bringing in a consultant.
Okay.
Why don't you get your plan together and talk to her, and then I don't see why this isn't something we could try to figure out by the time we're talking about budget. I mean, does it really have to take more than a year?
We just have to agree on terms and a plan that's workable. Work with Corp Counsel and HR, put all the pieces together in the right order. And
Because we'll need a little time to even just talk to our workers, be like, hey, this is kind of what highway management is thinking about pay structure. Is this gonna?
I want to hear from them very much so as well. Yeah, because
I want to do something.
I'm nervous that you say, oh, everybody's in favor of this, and then like, well, I've been here 20
And you get
years,
the
and now you're
pushback.
taking away my,
Yeah.
seniority or however you want to look at it. Like, I'm having a tough time swallowing that everybody be happy making the same amount.
Right.
You sure? So I have a tough time with that. I really do.
You know what I'll do?
And maybe you're right, and I'm willing to eat crow on that for sure. But I have a hard time buying it.
I'll do a survey,
Please do.
and I'll have
Anonymous.
Yeah,
all
I'll
I'd
have
like
them
to know
sign
is their
their name
years
to
of
it.
service and
I'll
how.
kind of have a multiple,
all
like
I wanna know.
3 options or 2 options, and I've done it in the past for other things. I
Just-
have the guys fill them out, they turn them in, and that's 25 to,
That would be
15.
extremely beneficial.
It would be, because that would help solve that in my mind. It's like, okay, well, it looks like for the most part, yes, they are, or
Yeah.
no, they're not.
Yeah, I would do
And
that.
the only thing I'd like to know in context with them is like, tell me how many years you've been with us. If it's 2.5,
Sure.
5.
You don't have to
Gives you a
attach the
little bit of
name, just kind
context
of,
there.
yeah.
And just to see how they really feel about it.
Just a question for you, Krista, and this could probably maybe be on another agenda at some point. How do you feel about the whole grade and step process? Because to me, it seems extremely complicated. I don't know if you've ever thought about it would be nice to simplify it versus so many pieces to it, or does it work well, in your opinion?
I think it works really well. It's
Okay.
easy for, I guess, HR staff to keep it straight of, okay, you know, we have this group of people in a grade 7 making anywhere from this to that.
Okay.
As far as the progression thing and where we start new hires, I mean, given the climate we're in, maybe that's something that HR is going to have to look at. You know, not everybody's going to start at a 1, or if you're coming in with 5 years of experience, maybe we need to adjust that. But the grade and the step system, I think, works relatively well.
Okay.
Okay.
Last comment I'd like to make on this is just, I want to talk about more of the differences between highway and courthouse versus, I think there's fewer similarities and more differences. You know, I mean, Jeannie did mention the similarities, that there are not all desk jobs, but of those, there's very few of them that are non-desk jobs, or when somebody has to fill in, that's a rare occurrence, where this stuff is daily for us. So it is very different from,
times a day.
it is very different from courthouse. It's every day, and it's just all the time.
Maybe what might help illustrate that would be to see in a redacted employee's time card and showing that this is what Mary has to decipher. And I do agree, there's not another department in the courthouse that's going to have that complexity. I'm sure of that.
Doesn't this show that, though?
But you look at
Kind
one
of.
time, yeah, it does kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a lot, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I will do that. I'll do a survey of the men, bring that
Please.
back next month. We will kind of show our, what we want to maybe
Potential.
potentially achieve. Get it with the current, correct title, positions, what we want where. I think that'll be, and then, I don't know if there's something we want to see from another highway department, or,
And if you put down for years of service, you might, just a thought, you might want to put down like 2 or less, from 2 to something.
Give 'em a
Like a
range.
range.
Somebody out there with a specific
5 to
number,
10,
they're gonna
10 to
say they know-
15.
They're gonna
Who it
know who
is.
this is.
Yeah, you could put ranges on there.
Ranges
yeah,
would be a
I
better.
Under
also in my
two,
head, I got a
10 to
probationary
15,
period.
15
Stuff like
to
that.
20.
Yeah,
Yep.
20 plus.
Oh, yeah, do 5-year, yeah, something like that.
Then you're not itemizing it down to the single
Just
person.
like how vacation is accrued, you know, 0 to 5, you get 3 weeks.
Sure,
vacation,
yeah, that would make
you know, to
sense.
follow
Use the
structure
same,
like
use
that.
those ranges maybe,
Yeah.
just to.
Something where they wouldn't specifically think they're gonna
Correct.
be knowing right
Targeted
Singled
away
out.
what they put
Yeah.
down.
Yep, good idea.
Good
And there's
idea.
no way you'd be taking people from these lesser positions and putting them in. You'd still have that separate somehow. They would have to be hired, like if they ever got trained, like your sign shop worker ever got trained to work in something higher, then they would have to go through a different, I don't know, a different process to be hired for those positions.
They do that when we do in-house, you know.
We still
An
have.
in-house
there's
promotion
still
type
interview
of thing.
processes.
Yeah.
Interview process, the interview for a new job.
Application.
Because you probably wouldn't be pulling a sign shop worker to go plow the roads, or, you know, I guess just,
I think they
or
do.
maybe you do,
Yeah.
I don't
That does
know.
lead into a little bit of the confusion, because a lot of the people that may be in this position are already fully qualified for
Oh,
this position.
okay.
And these people do this position
Oh,
sometimes.
okay.
And
So that's why I'm wondering how
That's where the
you
problem
That's where
lies.
the
Yeah.
problem falls, because
Yeah.
most all these people are
Can do the
certified or
others.
trained to do everything.
so that they can jump in where needed.
Yes,
Yeah, flexibility.
flexibility, yes. And that's one of the main things we look at when we hire
Right,
anyone.
yeah. Makes them more valuable if they can do more jobs.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, any other comments from the committee?
No, I think
Otherwise, I
we
think
need
that's
to see some
a
more
good enough
information.
plan, we'll
Good enough
keep
plan.
digging.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, do you want this as a standing item on future agendas?
Yeah,
or-
at least
I think we can for the time being.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
We'll just stay updated on it.
Yep. All right.
Okay?
Okay,
Thanks,
thanks,
guys.
guys. Good seeing you again, Krista.
mention it to the other commissioners down at WCHA, see what they have.
I will, yeah, you bet.
Okay, so next item up for discussion, possible action is final MLK Day training events. Any updates?
Just a simple update, nothing too earth-shattering. Things are pretty set to go. I'm still waiting on one presentation and to solidify that one. Otherwise, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, six different types of presentations that are going to go on that day. NeoGov is going to be a training on that as well too, so the staff will get updated on that, and I think they'll even be creating their accounts on that day as well too. So just wanted to update everybody that that's moving forward, and I think we're pretty close to being ready to go. So
Okay, very good.
Most of those presentations are in the morning, right?
correct. Yep. I think maybe the sheriff's office is going to do one early afternoon, but I think that's about it. So.
And then, I know, I saw it, but I couldn't find it this morning because I wanted to give it to Stacy, the Zoom or the web.
Yep, still waiting for IT to, I mean, they're working on it, so they'll get it out to us yet this week,
don't
so.
have it yet?
Nope,
Oh, I
not
thought
yet,
we did,
so.
but that's all right.
I suspect we'll have it either today or first thing in the
Okay.
morning, so.
Make sure I get it, because I want to make sure she gets it.
Okay, yep. Yeah, we'll do it as a mass email out to the entire staff, and then I'll make sure that the committee and board members get it as well too, in case they want to participate.
Okay,
Mhm.
good.
Okay, sounds good. Item 7, discussion action on advertising options for open county positions.
Yeah, just kind of want to have a brief discussion about that. I talked a little bit to Krista about it as well too, and I know some of the committee and board members have talked about it recently as well too. But even prior to that, was just thinking that whether or not, I've seen some of the invoices that come in regards to the advertising in the newspaper, and it's not an inexpensive way to advertise for the open positions. And so, did you? I can wait. Oh, okay. So just looking at different options other than maybe doing newspaper. And, you know, we've recently created a Facebook page. I know the TV studio does it as well. I'm actually going to meet with Kevin this afternoon and just talk about what that looks like and where we can go from there. We do Indeed. There's a government website that NeoGov automatically goes to. I guess my biggest issue is I'm just wondering how much we get out of the paper, no offense to the paper, but for the amount that we pay.
Yeah.
And so before making that big decision, just want to kind of get the feel of the committee as to what your thoughts are. I'd like to look at other online options versus necessarily the newspaper, just in my opinion, so.
I do believe that, it's my opinion, that the paper is a relatively expensive cost per view, in my opinion. So, willing to entertain looking at other options for sure. Heather?
In the application, do they have a spot to check, like, where they saw the?
They do.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to go through that, but we do.
That
have
would be
on.
interesting to look
Yeah,
at.
if it's relatively low or next to nothing,
That tells us what we need to do.
yes.
Right,
Yep.
true.
Yep. I think that's a fair,
Yeah.
very fair piece of guidance. Looks like Drew's got something on his mind.
Just for those watching on TV, I'm Drew. You're watching this meeting today courtesy of me, because I was the director. Now I'm up here talking. Anyway, just an FYI as to what Mr. Niemeyer had alluded to earlier. We have been helping HR out with open positions on our channel. We have something called the bulletin board, and that's the public access version of commercials, basically. A nonprofit group, whether it's Beef and Dairy Days or church meatball lutefisk suppers, can send us those things to us and we advertise for them. While Derek, our previous director, was here, he set something up. I think Lisa has been sending us emails every time there's a new job posting. So we've been doing that for a while, so those air on our bulletin channel in between programs. And we also give those courtesy shares on our social media also, Facebook and Twitter, and it costs you
Zero.
zero. So,
Yep.
I don't know if anyone has mentioned that they've seen them there, but it
I
would be
have.
cool to know that if they,
I've seen
that's where they
them.
saw it.
Yep.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
No, we
That-
do
that-
appreciate it.
Yeah, that's all I,
And
just,
there are good views.
just
too.
making everybody aware.
Is the county channel just on cable?
No, well, we are on TCC channels 18, which is standard definition, 618, which is high definition, and we also have a channel on 8. That is where the bulletin board airs continuously. That's not interrupted by programming. But when there's a gap in programming on our regular channel, then that's where the bulletin board would pop up in between programs. You can also view it streaming live through the county website. There's a button in the top upper right-hand corner of the county website that says live stream. If you click on that, that will take you to the live stream for the channel. And we also have some on-demand stuff through there, and we have a YouTube channel as well. So
Roku. I know you can
yeah,
access
we're on
it through
Roku also. Mhm. So you can see us a lot more places than you used to be able to.
Yeah,
so.
a lot more.
I don't know how to view the channel other than online. We out where we live, we only have satellite internet and satellite TV. We don't have another option. So
If you got YouTube on your phone, you can
yeah,
watch us right
okay.
here. So that's all I had, just making everybody aware. So thank you.
Thank you. Good notes. Any other thoughts from the committee on advertising options, or is this a?
I guess I
just
would
think
just.
that- I think we
sorry.
need to make, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Okay, I'll raise my hand when I want to talk, and you can call on me. I can't see or hear very well. I think we really need to help the board understand that if we have 22 openings, you're not going to see 22 jobs advertised. I know Rick tried to explain it at the county board meeting, how once the posting is done, the job is no longer advertised. Once when you're in the process of interviewing people, the job is no longer advertised. I think I left the meeting feeling that it still wasn't very clear with some people. Well, there's 22 openings and we don't see 22 ads. I hope that somehow we can make that clear so that conversation, it's a circular conversation and helping people understand the whole process of HR and advertising for jobs, and that you just don't advertise for a job when people are being interviewed for the job.
I thought you cleared it up good that night myself. I did.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody else thought that, but I did.
I can agree with you.
I didn't hear what
But we know
Ron
the
said.
process.
Yeah.
Oh,
True.
hard to hear, Ron.
He talked so soft.
So, any other thoughts on the advertising discussion for now, or basically look at some statistics?
Yeah, if you could bring that back to the next meeting, or even if, I don't know if it's permissible to email that so you don't have to wait so long, and then we could just,
And
do you have to wait till the next month to vote on, like, well, we're getting 80% of our views here, so let's
Right. We need to keep. to
spend
do
the
this.
energy and money on that
Yeah, and I guess
route.
my thought would be, if I got a sense of direction from the committee, I think that is something that probably can be made internally within the department. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure there wasn't a strong desire to continue with one particular method versus the other. But otherwise, I think internally, the department itself can make the decision on what options. So I just want to get a
Yeah.
feel from the.
I just think just go with what's getting the most,
Return on investment is what it amounts to.
yeah.
I mean, if we're investing a lot more dollars in paper and we're not getting as many people referring to us from the paper,
Sure.
It doesn't make
it's not,
sense.
doesn't math for me.
Sure,
So
yeah.
I want to put the dollars in the best place that
Okay.
we can use them.
I think we got a good sense of direction then as to what we wanted, how to go forward then. So.
Okay, sounds great.
When there are social work positions, this could be for either Krista or Rick, is the UW Eau Claire still getting a notice? Because when I was working for them, teaching for them, I used to put social work job notices on the bulletin board in the department. So, or you could put it on their Facebook page. UWEC has a Facebook page. But there are new graduates in December and May, so.
We do utilize Handshake, which is a platform that most of the UW schools use, as well as other
Okay, good.
colleges and
Okay.
universities, that
That'd be a
students can
great
go out and look
place.
for jobs.
Okay.
I know we were also putting it on, gosh, it's not on the checklist anymore, but it was on the Wisconsin Human Services Board. I
Right,
don't remember
okay.
the exact acronym, but we were emailing it off to their contact as well.
Okay,
to
great.
share.
And I would think that colleges are letting their students know these are resources to look for
Right.
jobs usually,
Absolutely.
so.
Yep.
Okay. Well, very good. All right, our next item on agenda is 11, Human Resources Department update.
Yeah, I just wanted to update. I think we've had numerous discussions over the last several weeks regarding what's the ongoing in human resources. Continue to do recruiting. I think we've made a couple offers recently. I know one was recently declined, but so we're going to continue to recruit for that. Had some interviews yesterday for the generalist position, so I think we're going to move forward with an individual in that role. So not in specifics today, but just that we've been continuing to move forward with recruiting. I think we're still at around 19, 20 positions that we're kind of working through. 24, okay, that we're working through in different forms, whether they're we have a ton of interviews set up over the next 2.5 to 3 weeks. So Krista is going to help do some as well too while she's here. So, so we're just moving forward. There's just, yeah, just a lot of the recruitment is still moving forward. So we do have the recruiter interviews on Friday. So those are going to be, so we'll see how those go. But the ones yesterday went really well, and I thought some good candidates. So
Good to hear. Anything on the events besides MLK Day?
no, that was just the MLK one. But since I had added it earlier, I thought that was probably
Oh,
sufficient
yeah.
for today. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Item 12, recognition of Krista Weisenberger and her service to Trempealeau County. Wanted to thank you for all your service, and
Appreciate that.
we'll miss you.
Yeah, I'll miss you all as well. I appreciate the opportunity. I've learned a lot over the last 5 years here. There's been good, there's been bad, there's been everything in between, but it's been a good experience and appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and
I'm
gather as
excited
much
for you.
knowledge from her as possible over the next
We would
7
appreciate that
days.
too, Rick.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, Jeannie.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I'm excited for you, Krista, because you'll get to spend more time with your baby girl and your son.
Yes.
And husband maybe too.
Yeah, well. Thank you, Jeannie.
I will
Very
miss
good.
you.
Same to you.
Yes. Next then, so I take it we do have closed session items for discussion today. I would entertain a motion to move into closed session.
I'll make a motion that we move into closed session per Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C, to update the committee and consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data regarding county personnel.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion made and seconded. We'll do voice vote. Austin?
Yes.
Frisch?
Yes.
Nelson, yes. Johnson?
Yes?
Nutter?
Yes, and people need to remember to turn their mics on because I can't hear when you're not have the mics on,
Okay,
especially during the closed session. I won't be able to hear anything.
we'll fix it. So,
Thanks.
with that, we are going to move into closed session. We'll wait for the light to go off.